This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and you're listening to Catholic Inspiration, a podcast from my website at studyprayserve.com. These homilies, presentations, and retreats form part of my ministry as a Catholic priest for the Diocese of Superior. And now I invite you to open your hearts to some Catholic inspiration. I grew up in a camping family. It's what we did. My folks bundled my sister and I up, and we would take our Ford F-100 pickup truck, had a little camper on top, and it was fun because there was a little sliding thing that had the cheesy mattress, and my parents slept on that, and my sister and I literally slept in sleeping bags underneath them on the bed of the truck. There's a couple of little cupboards on the side, and we went on adventures. And, from Cumberland, we would go like 20 miles away to a local little campground watering hole. And for me and Amy, that was like we might have gone to Treasure Island. Set up the campsite. God bless my mother. Girl from North St. Paul who was roughing it out in the woods. Little camp stove got set up. I got to collect the sticks, and automatically we started a campfire. And I always loved water. My sister swims like a fish. And we immediately gravitated towards the water. We'd pull behind the truck, our little Alumacraft with a 9.9 Evinrude, to go fishing. So we'd catch fish, we'd have the water, we'd have the campfire, stickiest fingers you can imagine from marshmallows toasted. It was a blast. Now I look back on that, obviously, because, there were tons of mosquitoes and sometimes the weather didn't cooperate. We call that camping, right? But I also remember some great things in life lessons, and one of them was I learned to swim with my dad. And now, I took formal swimming lessons much later when I got older, but as a little boy, 4 years old, my dad said, "Come on, son, come with me." And what he did is he held me up. He put his arms out, and I literally put my stomach on his arms, and he brought me out into the water and floated me out. I said, "Okay, start," and I learned to doggy paddle. He said, I gotcha. And my dad just kept moving with me while I'm doggy paddling, and he's just walking around. And slowly, because my dad is mischievous, he would just slowly lower his arms. And I'm still doggy paddling, but Dad's right there by my side. And he kept encouraging me, saying, "I gotcha. You're doing good. You're doing fine. You're doing great." And then he just put his hands up. Now, I'm too busy swimming. And my dad, to do a demonstration, his hands are now out of the water. And he's just walking with me while I'm doggy paddling. And I remember turning and saying, "Look, Dad, I'm doing it." And I saw that he didn't have me. And I immediately went under the water. And he catches me, plops me up. I said, "What did you do?" He said, "You were doing great." But I said, "But you weren't holding me." He said, "I didn't need to. I was there to help you learn so you could do it on your own. Don't let go." Let's try again. Well, pretty soon I got used to it. And then I would doggy paddle and he would just walk with me. And then he said, "I'm going to take a couple steps back." And then pretty soon he said, I'm going to go on the shore. "Watch me, Dad." "I'm watching, son." And I learned to swim. I should probably say I learned to stay afloat, but I learned to swim because my dad started with a lot of support and slowly challenged me to do it on my own. Now, I think about this because later in life, much later, I took a lot of leadership courses, and I learned this role of support and challenge. So I want you to imagine for a moment two columns. And the first one is support. And the other column right next to it is challenge. Now, here's the issue. If you don't support people at all, you just challenge them, they're going to fail. Because you give them a challenge, but you have no support, no way to catch them, no way to show them that they're not alone. So, all support, no challenge, that's bad. But then if you flip it, if it's all support and no challenge, you coddle people. And they never learn to do anything on their own because you're always there to do everything for them. And they never get used to doing anything. Why? Because Well, they're never allowed to. You're just doing everything for them. But you also can't have them just equal. If the support and the challenge are identical, you're bored. And the reason is whatever you're doing, the person's right there. I'm not challenged. I got to do the work, but it's like, there's nothing new. The secret, I was told, is imagine that the challenge is just a little bit above the support. Just a little bit. That the person you're with knows you're there for them. You got them, but you're asking them to grow just a little bit. Just to learn something new or to be challenged in a new way, to develop a new skill. But they know you've got their back. They know that you're right there. If they fall, it's not far to fall. You're there for them. And so this role of challenge and support isn't just true for life. It's true for spiritual life. Jesus ascends into heaven. And think about this, friends. For 3 years, those disciples had Jesus walking side by side in his bodily form. He was right there. And they learned from him. He modeled, he mentored, he taught, he showed. Then he sent them out. And he continued to be with them. But there came a time where he had to say, hey, it's time for you to do it on your own. I'm going to send the Holy Spirit, and that's going to come next week. But Jesus has to ascend to heaven so that those disciples can grow into full stature, so they can carry on his work. That the Lord, by stepping back, allows them to grow. And you see this most in like St. Peter, who before the death and resurrection of Jesus, he's afraid. He gets a lot of things wrong. But after the death and resurrection of Jesus and then the descent of the Holy Spirit, Peter's on fire. He's allowed to grow. Now, God did that for the apostles, and God does that for us. Because at every stage in life, friends, there's a time when someone literally has their arms under us to catch us. They're there. But sooner or later, we got to swim in this world. Sooner or later, we have to learn. We have to acquire the muscles, the stamina, the desire to say, okay, Lord, you've taught me, you showed me, now it's my turn. It's my turn to take this gift of life that you've given me and do something with it. To live for you. To make an offering for you. I know, Lord, you're there. Lord, I know that you're walking with us. You continue to support us. But I see, Lord, that you challenge us to grow. You challenge us to stretch our hearts, to extend our lives, to be a blessing. The invitation for us today, friends, is this. Where do we see the Lord prompting us to grow right now in our lives? Where do we see the Lord stretching us to say, you can do this. I'm still here, but I need you to keep doing it and getting better at going on your own so you can grow, so you can become stronger, so that what I have taught you now I pass on to you so you can do and share for others so they can learn and then they can grow as well. It's meant to pass through us in each and every generation. Right now, tonight, where do we see the Lord inviting us to grow in grace, faith, hope, love? Where do we see the Lord prompting us to take that step closer to Jesus? Stretching us in our families, in our work, in our neighborhoods, in our relationships. That the love of Christ, the gift of Christ, will be flowing through us, that we might be Christ for one another. The Lord ascends into heaven, not to abandon us, but to be present to all people in all times and all spaces. The Lord ascends that we will grow in full stature as sons and daughters of the Most High. We're called to take this gift of life and live it in a manner worthy of heaven. For each one of us, that journey is going to look a little different. And yet God will walk with us. God will support us, and God will challenge us to grow a little bit more like Christ each and every day. God bless you all. This is Father Andrew, and I hope this podcast inspires your faith. Now, if you found it helpful, please share it with a friend, and you can help me by leaving a rating and a review. I keep all my listeners in my daily prayers, and I ask for your prayers in return. God bless you, my friends.